Hey everyone, welcome to Virtual Vegfest Live. This is Helene, and it's been like a week. I feel like we did do. I don't think we did a weekend. I don't even remember at this point, but I'm going on the road, and we're gonna do lives on the road, which is going to be different. So this background, not for the next two shows. I'm going to be in Asheville, North Carolina for both of the shows that are coming up, which are both on Thursdays and no weekend. Oh, no, that's not true. One's going to be this Sunday, and that's going to be with Kangaroo, the filmmakers of the Kangaroo film, which is really important to watch and want to bring the film over here to do a showing. Do you know that Nike has kangaroo like fur or skin in their products? A little tidbit that I learned from them, which all of you need to know because kangaroo leather has infiltrated our products and we don't even know about it. So we're going to learn more about that on Sunday. And that talk is actually at 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which is 8 a.m. Monday in Australia. Pretty awesome. Australia coming on. And then, of course, like I normally do this at the end, but then because I'm traveling, the following Thursday at 5:15 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, we have Michelle and Dr. Bricky coming on, which is a whole story about how the doctor had changed Michelle's life. That's kind of a lot of our stories. So that again, both at different times, and no talk next weekend, the 12th, the 13th, or whatever that is, because we're going to be on the road and we want to enjoy ourselves in Asheville, North Carolina. So, welcome contest. It's June. We picked 6 winners for the contest for May. They have been emailed. So if you enter the contest, check your email. 2 have not responded yet. That means there's 2 prizes that need to go to those people. So check your emails. And the way you entered for June to win a prize pack from Hodo Foods, Orgain, Crofters Organics, Follow Your Heart, Cinnaholic, or Shroom Meats is to go to virtualvegfest.com, click the contest tab, and do things like subscribe to our Virtual Vegfest YouTube, follow all of those sponsors of our Virtual Vegfest Live. Thanks to Orgain for sponsoring our lives this month. Cool prize packs delivered or emailed to you. Cinnaholic to send a $50 gift card to the winner, who happened to be from Cary, North Carolina. That could be you. And quite simple. So, your vegan family. Hey, they're on. Pretty awesome. This is going to be a little weird. There is a delay. There's a delay to Facebook, but there's a delay between our conversation. So have fun watching this one with us because there's probably going to be a lot of like, wait, what? But that's all right. If you have any questions or comments, please let them scroll on the little screen and I'll make sure they do and let us know because, we like those. And if you're watching, where are you watching from? We'd love to hear that as well. They're like on the other side of the country, so it's pretty neat. Hey, Markus and Stacy.
Hello, hello.
Right, then there's that delay that I was
Thank you
just talking
for having
about.
us.
So, welcome. I'm just going to throw this at you initially. Like, I found you guys on Instagram through the UK Vegan Family, I'm pretty sure. You said yes to coming on. It was supposed to be next month. You filled in this date for me because this person couldn't make it, so thank you. But nobody really knows that because no one knows the schedule until the week before anyway. So it works out perfectly for me. But I want the two of you to tell everyone who you are, what you do, your education, your background, your family, how you became your vegan family, all you.
Sure. Well, I'm Markus Naugle, and I'm 53, and my educational background actually is a degree in molecular biology from MIT. And so it was while I was at MIT and, studying all things you can't see at a cellular level that I decided to experiment with my diet. I was a college athlete there. I played American football, and I'm super healthy and really happy to have my body do anything I asked it to do, but I had never experimented with what I chose to put in it. So that's where my path started and sort of started to evolve from there. And this is my lovely wife, Stacy.
Hello. Um, and I have been solely vegan for several years now, but experimented a lot throughout my lifetime. My degree is a master's degree in acupuncture. And so, as a person who consulted people about their health and well-being, I read a lot about diet, tried a lot of diets that people would come in and ask me about. Here's the latest book, and here's this diet. And so I would try out different diets so I could speak from experience. And I just started eating less and animal products, and uh, continue to feel great. And yeah, I'm also the 50 plus club. And we have two little boys and two grown daughters.
Oh, wow.
And the little boys, they are, yeah, I know lots of kids. And the two little boys have been vegan since conception, and they're just awesome, vivacious, curious, athletic, sweet little balls of energy.
One of them's 10, and Nico is 10, and Orion is 6. And so, yeah, they've been part of our vegan journey, and they've had a vegan journey from day one. And we're fortunate to live on a very small island, in many ways. It's got about 5 to 6 thousand people year round, and we're off the coast of Washington State, mostly looking at Canada and receiving Canadian signals. And our island is small and reasonably homogeneic and rural, but they happen to go to a school that has a vegetarian cafeteria, and there are students in that cafeteria while our boys take their lunch every day, and we love packing their lunches, and they love finding out what we put in their lunches each day as well. There are a couple of students that eat vegan, and the cafeteria accommodates them, and it is a solely vegetarian cafeteria, and so we're very blessed. I think that's not a normal experience that you would find in most schools and in most situations, that not only do the boys feel super comfortable and it's just who they are with how they eat at home in our home, but also, within their school system, and then within the, play groups that they play with, and, play dates that they go on, and all their friends know they're vegan. And in fact, all their friends love the fact that they're vegan, because when we make our vegan pesto, which we love, and they, take it a couple times a week, we make extra for them to in their friends' school. All their friends love our vegan pesto. And we actually make a vegan horseradish sauce too. That last year, when Nico was in third grade, he would take extra amounts of this horseradish sauce, and they would have the hot sauce challenge with his 5 buddies at their, table in the classroom as well. And they love vegan horseradish sauce. And so we've made a real effort. They're also rabid skateboarders and spend as much time as they possibly can at our world-class skate park on this little island, which we're fortunate to have. And we've taken lasagna to our friends in there. We've taken fruit pies, and we kind of use them as our petri dish for taste testing. And it's been great because it's allowed us to build community around food, and it's also allowed us to expose their friends and our friends too, our young friends, um, you know, to some of the things that we choose to do, and some of the reasons why we choose to do it in a way that's meaningful and hopefully delicious for them. They've loved everything we've given them so far.
That's incredible. So, where are the girls?
Well, they're old. one of one of them's 32, and she's in Florida, having a wonderful, robust life on her own.
And one of them is 20, and she both of them are travelers, so you never really know where in the world they could be at any moment. They love having adventures, and uh, yeah, one of them is on the island right now, but she was off across in Dubai earlier this year, so they both get around a lot.
And it's been great because we have really, you know, part of our ethos around eating too is multicultural eating, and we've really been fortunate and also compelled to travel as far and wide as we can. We've lived abroad and been raised abroad in other countries. We've been 60 or 70 other countries. Both our boys actually were born in Guatemala, and they're Guatemalan citizens. And we've tried to live with indigenous people any place that we could go as well. And so, we lived with the indigenous Maya for 10 years in Guatemala. And it's really interesting to see in many of these types of cultures, while they eat an omnivorous diet, they lean more towards eating a plant-based diet, because meat for them in many cases is quite expensive. And it's not a given that they're going to have meat at every meal or meat even every day. And if they do have meat, well, it's likely to be chicken. or perhaps seafood if they're close to a body of water of some type, if close to the ocean or close to a lake where they can source some seafood of some type. But on the whole, when you travel through Central and Latin America, beans and grains are a real focus of what people eat. And when we've traveled through Ethiopia and gone trekking in the Simeon Mountain World Heritage Site, grains and teff and grains that are not common in anybody's diet now, that are grains and some of the highest that you can find in iron and protein, are the staples of their diet as well. And so it's been really fun for us to see the world, but it's been extremely educational for us to eat with the world and see how they eat, and then bring some of those things back and incorporate them into the way we eat as well.
So, question about the not having enough meat, not having enough meat. That's they don't have a lot of meat in their diet because it's a more wealthy type food, which is why we have an abundance of it in this country, is one of the reasons. Do they aspire to want more because they equate it to wealth?
That's not been my experience. In the places that I've lived, the people have been really happy with their traditional diets, and often don't step outside of those. If they have an opportunity to go to a restaurant or something sometime in town, they often choose not to. They seem very proud and happy with their diets, in my experience.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting question, and the Maya culture would be the one that I would be most easily able to comment on because it's the one I lived in for the longest period of time. And I don't think that, if they had more disposable income or any disposable income, I don't think that they would be choosing to spend that on red meat, which it's not considered to be a status symbol if you're eating red meat or you're eating Kobe beef, or you're eating a certain type of meat that comes from some place. It would come from Guatemala if they were eating it. But there's not a kind of a prestige or a judgment, if you will, around what you're eating, because I think so many of them are growing their own food. They're agrarians, so they're growing their beans and they're growing their corn and they're growing the things that they eat on a regular basis. And it's always interesting to me. There's so many Central Americans that live in the United States now, and lots of Guatemalans, and I have Guatemalan friends here in our country who, in their worldview, they believe they are made from corn. And so some of them think if they don't eat tortillas 3 to 5 times a day, they are going to die. And so tortillas are really important to them, corn tortillas, not beef, corn tortillas. And so, it's just a very different perspective that, comes from how they believe human beings were even created. And so I think, in my perspective, in my experience, I'm sorry, that I don't think that they would choose to eat more meat if they could, to demonstrate wealth or disposable income. But that would be an interesting question to ask them, that I've never put that question straight to them.
The reason it comes up, it's the conversation that we have over here in this house. It's because to change the world to vegan, you have to convince the people who are eating quinoa all the time or eating grains all the time that may look at the our diet, our sad diet, and go, I want that. And they view that as, you have to have money to have meat. We don't have money, so we eat quinoa, we eat the grains, even though it's a way healthier way to live. And we look at that and go, oh, we can just eat quinoa with, a steak. We can eat grains with, chicken. We can do all that over here without any thought. At least you don't have to be wealthy to have access to cheap, horrible meat. So that's it's I being that you've lived there, it's very interesting to me because I don't, it's not the side that I'm on when we have the conversation, because I just want the whole world to be vegan, and they have access. It's at their fingertips. They can eat, they realize that their diet, well, Dr. McDougall will say, like in Hawaii, he'll say, like, the elders are still eating their diet that they came over to Hawaii with, and they're healthy. They're like really healthy, but their first generation or second generation from them are really not healthy because they started eating what Americans eat. And that means more meat, less rice, less grains, less vegetables. And they're suffering the consequences of that. Whereas, like, the 90-year-old is running like like running around the 20-year-old because they're eating really healthy, which means limited meat, if any, in their diet. So, and that's proof. There's proof in that pudding. There's like major proof in that pudding. So, convincing that part of the world that may aspire to want more meat in their diets, but maybe they don't aspire to have more meat in their diets.
It's a complicated issue for sure, and I think that in my experience, again, living in Central America for probably 10 to 12 years of my lifetime, they really do occasionally see on TV, Disney World and some of these types of things, and there's American products that are down, and there are certain parts of the US culture that they really do want to emulate. I think they're also highly aware that, as diabetes and obesity has become such a problem in the United States and all kinds of other challenges around poor diet and malnutrition in the true sense of the term, actually, that those are becoming rampant problems now in Central America too, as they adopt parts of the US diet, 3-liter bottles of soda, packages of Oreos that, well-meaning nonprofits or church-based groups bring down because they think they're starving and that's what they bring. That's not all of them for sure. That's a radical example, but I do think that they understand, and there's a perspective of Americans overall that we are obese. We aren't necessarily all that healthy, and I don't know that they're necessarily comparing their culture to our culture in that way, but I don't think they're trying to emulate an American diet. And I know that when we live down there and whenever we travel around, and especially when we're in developing countries around indigenous people, really trying to validate and value the way their indigenous ways, their time-tested traditional ways of doing things, is something that we stay very conscious about. And so, when we cook with people down there or learn how to cook with them over an open fire and look at the types of foods that they're cooking and the ingredients that they're putting together, and really trying to develop an understanding for where their nutrition comes from and where their food comes from, and validating the parts of it that are very healthy and ones that do work with personal health, planetary health, I think is really important.
Yeah, that's incredible. And when I said we could go anywhere, we can, because that really piqued my interest because of a conversation that we have on our end. And to have you like, oh, you have this experience, so let's throw out that question to see like what comes back. So thank you, because I love the fact that you went and learned, and you've brought that back to teach.
And we love black beans.
It's so random. So yeah. So share, like, how did you start your vegan family? And I want everyone to know that you don't have to be a family. You can be a family of one and still learn from your vegan family. So that's very clear in their website, on their social media, that this is for everybody. You don't have to have like the kids running around. Just have your fur kids running around. You can still benefit from listening to them. Go ahead.
Well, a couple of years ago, it just was time for me to retire from my acupuncture practice, and Marcus was working in a job as well, and we just decided that we wanted to change our lifestyle. We wanted to build something together. We wanted to build something that our boys could be involved in as well, that was a family effort. And then we looked at what we did every day that we had in common, that we had to do anyway. It was all around food and well-being and family culture, and it's a great way for all of us to bond. um, the boys eat everything. Well, we, all of us, we eat across a very broad range of fruits, vegetables, nuts, legumes, and seeds. And there really isn't anything from any culture or any plant that we put on the table that they don't devour in full without complaint and happily, and put it on their favorites list. Um, so it was really easy to start to create something around food. And a lot of people, they ask us, for our recipes. If they come over and eat with us, they have a lot of questions because you never know what you're going to get. And even across 1 week of the menu at our house, we may have Thai food, we may have black beans. We love making black beans. We made a lasagna yesterday. Um, you know, we eat from several different cultures in our house every week. And their lunches also reflect this. Marcus, he's the morning man and creates their lunches, and it's a rainbow of color every day. And it might be an antipasta of pickled okra. They love pickled okra, pickled radishes, and those kinds of things. And it might be a pesto sandwich or a hummus and pickle sandwich, or today's leftover lasagna, and what else? A fruit medley. And
Yeah, garlic parsley walnut bread.
Oh, okay. I kind of want the recipe for that
Yeah.
horseradish
And so I
sauce,
think too,
just so you know.
we are happy to share it.
Yes. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
I think when Stacy was leaving her acupuncture practice, I was doing a science marine conservation nonprofit, and so we were working on marine conservation issues, and we're ardent outdoors people and naturalists, but environmentalists as well. And it was really interesting to me. Daily, we have three pods of southern resident killer whales here that are on one of the top 10 spotlight species for the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Institute for most endangered species in the United States. But at the same time, there are all these other creatures that are disappearing rapidly too. And I thought about how, well, here I am working on individual marine conservation issues or individual species when really, Greta Thunberg trying to kind of smacked me in the forehead, a couple of years ago when she came and said, climate change is really the only issue that we have, which is human overpopulation. They're kind of linked hand in hand, right? And so working downstream from the apex problem, if you will, really, it just made a lot of sense that I can potentially impact a much bigger, much broader planetary change through talking about diet and the choices that I've made for 27 years now than I can actually trying to save any individual species anywhere on the planet. So that was another, I think, motivating factor behind it. Is we've been super blessed to climb 20,000-foot mountains and summit Kilimanjaro and scuba dive down to 150 feet on the Great Barrier Reef, and you know trek with baboons in Ethiopia, and we've gone on safari in Africa, and we live in an amazingly beautiful natural world, and it's going away, fast, depending on which factors you choose to look at, and all of them pretty much. And so, I don't think that there is a choice that you can make every day where you can feel good eating 3 times a day about your personal health, and you can, create positive energy with your family, and you can create community around it, and you can, really at the end of the day, if you've done nothing else but eat 3 vegan meals, you can feel awesome about what you've done for yourself, and you can feel awesome about what you've done for the planet too. You feel like you've made a difference just by eating. That's an amazing thing.
It's incredible. You're right. Saving the planet, saving the animals, saving your health, improving your health, all just by what you put on your plate. And, thank you for making those choices, those decisions to, amazing life, by the way. Absolutely incredible. I have to kind of throw a little shout out to everything that you've done, all the traveling that you've done. It's your kids having the benefit of those experiences and what you've had and the ones they'll have. That's There's nothing like it. And we kind of talk about Jill Steinbeck from Shape Up Us. She talks about the whole child, and a lot of what's said there is that kids mimic their parents or mimic the people that are their idols in their life, right? And whoever is raising them, and they eat what you eat. So if you're incredibly picky, you're gonna have really incredibly picky kids. But if you put the food in front of them and acclimate them to eating all different foods when they're babies and start eating and moving forward, you're going to have kids that eat foods. Not every food,
Absolutely.
because not everyone likes everything, and that's okay. But seriously, pickles, horseradish, I mean, I mean, some
Yep.
interest. I mean, I can't even imagine.
I mean, we absolutely. Our kids started at age 2, and you feed them yellow curry. Well, you don't make it very hot at age 2, but by 2.5, you're starting to dial it up a little bit. By 3 to 3.5, it's getting a little bit hotter. By 4, you're mixing in some other things as well. For sushi, even, we make an unrolled sushi salad. So we take everything out of the nori wrapper and, the edamame and the small carrots and the avocado and all the things. We call them silver bowl meals because you cannot pick anything out. You take a bite, a spoonful, and you get everything in that spoonful. And so when they were young, those silver bowl salads or those silver bowl meals and cutting up things small so that they can't, lots of people eat with, here's my broccoli over here, and I've got my beans over here, and I've got my grain over here, and it's all separated up. And you can pick the color that you want, or you can pick the texture that you want, or you can pick the flavor that you want. But if you cut everything up small and make it kind of one big yumminess all the way around in every spoonful, you can't pick those things out. And you can really play with flavors, and you can play with textures, and you can train up their palates on how to eat across, again, a broad range of fruits, vegetables, textures. Oftentimes people will come to us and say, "Oh, your kids have been vegan since conception. Are they tired? Are they skinny? Are they okay?" And our kids they're performing above grade in school. They're super highly energized. They're amazingly kind. They are super thoughtful and observant. And I think that on our quote unquote restricted diet, when I look at what I see your average American kid eat, my kids on their restricted diet eat so much more than your average American, 7 or 8-year-old who's eating about 10 things: pizza, spaghetti, chicken fingers, yogurt, maybe broccoli if you can sneak it in there, apples, grapes, and carrots. Okay. And then a hamburger and a hot dog and, whatever else their meat is that comes along with it. And so our kids, there isn't a single vegetable that they don't eat. There's not a single fruit that they don't eat. Think about how many different foods that is. There isn't a single grain that they won't eat. And so, they're eating hundreds of different things across, a couple of weeks of eating versus eating the same 10 to 15 things time and time again for every lunch, breakfast, and so our restricted diet is actually so much broader than what your average omnivore would eat in the United States, especially for, I think, kids that age who tend to be, sometimes a little choosy over what they eat. And, they're still learning about themselves and learning about the world and not always making the proper choices as well. And so, it's interesting to watch what people's perceptions are versus what the reality is. And we really want to try to educate people about that reality. And like Stacy to talk about, we think in order to go vegan, you really need to get educated in order to stay vegan, because we have lots of friends who, have maybe tried a vegan diet because their friend tried it or because they read something about it, and they eat vegan for a month or 2 months, and they maybe don't do it in a proper way, and that isn't setting yourself up for success. And so the get educated part of it is really, as trained scientists and as people that have a pretty broad experience across healthcare overall. We're both yoga instructors trained and Reiki practitioners, and Stacy's trained up in Chinese medicine, and I've worked in the EMS system as a firefighter. And we've looked at a broad range of health issues from a lot of different perspectives. And if you're not eating a proper diet, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage that's really hard to overcome. So the get educated part of it is something that we really are passionate about. Of course.
And another piece of this is that when we looked at how we wanted to affect the environment, how we wanted to encourage planetary health, and our values and reasons for being vegan, and everyone goes vegan for either it's their personal health, the planetary health, or the animals. Those are usually the three reasons. And it's not that easy to stay on a plant-based diet if you haven't set yourself up for success at the beginning. And so as our business was evolving, we realized that what people really needed was the education to stay vegan. And that's how we could make the bigger impact. Not getting, 1,000 people to go vegan for a month, but getting, whatever percentage of people we could to stay vegan longer. Because most people who try a plant-based diet, in a month, 30% of them are no longer on that diet. And within a year, at least half of them are back to eating animal products. And when you make a lifestyle change because of values you believe in, it's hard to not feel like you can live up to those values, that you can support, sustain those long term. So we wanted to help people to stay vegan so that they can live in alignment with their personal values, and that can have a bigger positive impact on the planet going forward. So in order to do that, to set yourself up for success, there's a certain amount of education you need. You need to make sure that you're covering your nutritional basis, or you're not going to feel good and get the positive feedback from the diet to compel you to keep going forward. And you need to set up your kitchen and your shopping and these strategies and habits that sustain this lifestyle effortlessly and let you have fun and be creative in it, so that you want to keep going that direction and that it's easy for you. So we have a waiting list for our upcoming course that's Fundamentals of Nutritious Plant-Based Cooking. And the idea is that we set people up for success, that we teach them, here's what you can shop for. Let's expand your world. Let's let this be an adventure. As we eat from around the world, we want to inspire people to adventure out into different cultures, into different types of grains, different types of legumes, different types of fruits and vegetables they don't normally have, and to look at this as a way not just to improve their planetary health, but to have an adventure in their households, in their kitchens, with their family, with their friends. It doesn't have to be restricted eating. It gets to be an expansive adventure with people that you love. And that's much more easy to sustain than feeling like you're doing something that made your life smaller. So that's what we've moved towards, is helping people to stay vegan by giving them the right education and knowledge to do it.
People don't realize that bananas are vegan, apples are vegan. So people literally will say, I don't eat any vegan food, right? And if you put lettuce on your burger, guess what? You're eating something that's vegan. So that disconnect that we talked before we went live about the hatred towards vegans and the bullying the UK vegan family went through, and how there's just some horrible people out there. I mean, there are just some horrible people out there on all different fronts. There are people who hate vegans who actually think that your kids really are malnourished, that they really are unhealthy. And I'm going to dial that back and say, if you're feeding your kid animal products, that cholesterol, the fat, and your kid's eating cheese and bread as their primary source of food, and throw in meat in there on top of that, and dairy milk, and dairy and cheese and more, then that kid is growing up as a foundation of heart disease, strokes, diabetes, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and cancer. You're literally taking all those things and putting it into that child's body. So as they become an adult, their foundation for their adulthood, which you actually create when they're children, which is not something we understood it when we were kids, right? Being we're all in the 50s club. It really wasn't understood when we were kids that what the parents fed us was our foundation for our future adult bodies. We've learned that as we've aged and matured. So if you have these kids and you're feeding them essentially cancer and junk, then they're going to have a junk, potentially cancer-filled body as an adult. And that is scary as all hell to me, that people make those choices, and that they can look at you and other families that are raising their kids on a whole food plant-based diet and go, that's not healthy. Those kids are going to have a foundation that is better than anything we would ever have because we weren't raised vegan or whole food plant-based. There's nothing healthier than that.
It's a challenging world when it's a world that is interesting to think about. Where does science fit into it anymore? I mean, we're trained as scientists, and so we like the experimentation part of it. If you want to find out about something, then let's conduct an experiment and see what that experiment tells us, right? And so that's kind of how we came to vegan eating ourselves. It's interesting to me that most of us eat automatically. Food is very emotional. It's a topic that is very taboo. It's like religion and politics and sexuality, and something that is difficult to talk about because, we all have a memory of somebody feeding us in some way, whether that's grandma or your mother or maybe your aunt or your neighbor or maybe your father, but probably not in most cases, and feeding us a certain way. And, it's interesting that Stacy and I, grew up on opposite sides of the United States 50 years ago. But we ate similarly in that, we'd go to the farm and there was the cow, and the cow then ended up in little white packages in the deep chest freezer in the basement that said T-bone and rump roast and was sirloin. That was what you ate for the year. And we drank a lot of milk and, ate a lot of eggs. And, that was a diet that was common around the farm diet, if you will, and much smaller farms then, not commercial farms quite so much. But I appreciate that while my, parents are omnivorous, my mom always, even after 40 years of teaching, every day after school came home and we always had a salad, we always had a protein source, we always had a starch source, we always had a vegetable, every single meal. There was a consciousness around knowing about the different types of food and knowing about the food pyramid. While that food pyramid might have changed shape and levels, and who knows, we could debate that, from forever too, from a scientific standpoint and how often it's changed. But there still was a consciousness around food. It wasn't just a kind of an automatic thing. And so I know for me, I have two sisters, and one of them lives in Nashville and the other one lives in Raleigh. And my family, my diet evolved in a certain way, but one of my sister's diets and her family has evolved in a very similar way. They eat more vegan probably than not. And my other sister also has a consciousness around it too. And my parents love when we, come back to their house in Western Pennsylvania and then we cook vegan food for them. And so they're probably never going to be vegan, but they have an openness towards the fact that we choose to eat the way that we do. And I think that, how we present the topic. We try not to be militant vegans. I know that there are some militant vegans around, and I think that I'm thankful that it's a very small percentage, but that's as bad as a militant carnivore, in my opinion, because you're not open to having a conversation around it. And while I wish the whole planet was vegan with the snap of my fingers, I know that that's not going to happen. But I do know this: is that every single vegan meal that's eaten is a step towards planetary health and a step towards personal health as well. And so if people, these meatless Mondays and some of these types of things, I think are awesome, just to bring a consciousness around what you put in your body and how it makes you feel. I don't think you're going to feel tremendously different eating one vegan meal per week versus adopting a vegan diet for an extended period of time and seeing what it does for you. But I think having a consciousness and an open conversation around food is really important.
Agree, 100%. So where your sisters are in Raleigh and in Asheville, whereas I live in Raleigh and I do the
Yep,
Asheville
they're in
Vegan
North
Fest
Carolina.
event. Yes, they're in the cities I do events, so I live here.
Yeah,
I should really know your sisters.
you're lucky you.
You should definitely
I'd
introduce
be
me.
happy to introduce you to them.
I would love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's really
They're
cool.
lovely. They're lovely women.
Oh, that's wonderful. I look forward to that. Okay, we do that afterwards. All right. So there's so much. The course that you have a wait list for. How do people get on the wait list? And more details, please. Where's the course? How is it done? Like, let's get into more details about that because I'm curious.
Oh, thanks for asking, Helene. Well, our website is yourveganfamily.com. So all anybody has to do is go there and you can find everything that we do on our website. And the course is the foundations of nutritious plant-based cooking. And when you master this foundation, it makes it so much easier to stay on a plant-based diet in a healthy, fun, and creative way. And I know that a lot of people who are choosing to adopt a plant-based diet now are mostly of a younger generation. They're mostly, the mid-teens to 30-year-olds. And they haven't had that much experience cooking. So, we start from the beginning of, what is the essential equipment to have in your kitchen so that you can do this easily. If you don't have a sharp knife, if we didn't if we didn't have a sharp knife, we wouldn't eat. Like we chop a lot of vegetables fruits every day. And so that's number one priority. And I've seen so many YouTube videos, people trying to do their vegan cooking shows with these tiny little knives. It just doesn't work. So, number one is how to outfit your kitchen without having to spend a ton of money. But what are the bare essentials? Because we don't like to have a lot of gadgets. We try to have the minimum to get done what we need to get done because we're busy parents. We don't have all day to cook every day. And number two is, how to fill your kitchen because you eat what you have, and how to shop and get a broad range of fruits and vegetables, how to shop the rainbow. And actually on our homepage, there's a link right on the top that is to get a free grocery shopping list. That's a plant-based grocery shopping list. And in every category of food, it's got fruits and it has vegetables and it has grains and it has legumes, and it gives you suggestions so that you can check off the ones that you want to buy, but it encourages you to perhaps think outside the box of the foods that you traditionally eat. And it's like, are you getting red fruits? Here's some purple fruits. Like, if you're getting all the colors as well, you're going to cover a lot more of those nutritional bases that you want to cover in your diet over a long period. So anybody can, click on that and get that to help them fill their kitchen and their pantry with the foods that they need. And then there's our shortcut things like, what sauces can you make? We always have pesto. And, if there's a night when we're home late, the kids have skated late and it's 5:30 and, we've got 2 hours before they really need to be in bed and we need to make dinner and do all these things. Well, it's really easy to do pesto and gnocchi with some, sauteed greens and broccoli and a fresh salad. So our pesto can go a number of different directions and make fast meals for us. And some of the condiments that we use would make a spicy tomato accar that's an Indian recipe. But we put that on everything. We put it on toast in the morning. We put it on different vegetables and foods in the afternoon. So teaching people those basic kinds of foods that they can have in the refrigerator, that they can have pre-made, things they can make on the weekends when they have more time, that support them throughout the week, that make it really easy to eat through the week without getting stressed about it and without having to go towards the processed prepackaged foods.
I think if you look at some of the other courses and programs that you can take, while we appreciate them, a number of them, are providing you recipes, or they're actually shipping you the food for each and every meal along with the recipe. And some of them have some flexibility, but an awful lot of them don't. And so if you don't like the recipes that they're sending you, or you don't, you really like Thai food and they're only giving you Mexican food for whatever reasons, for lack of a better metaphor, those types of things can be a bit challenging. And so, as Stacy said, what we want to focus on is the fundamental skills to empower you to be able to do whatever you want to do. And I think that, this time and weddings and registries and these types of things, we often go out and get the latest and greatest panini maker, and we get the other thing that you plug in that takes up a whole bunch of space to make the one thing that you never eat once a month, and you fill up your kitchen with all these appliances that you hardly ever use. And when it comes right down to it, you need some good pans, you need some really good knives. A dehydrator is nice, but you certainly don't, and we have one and we use it all the time, but you certainly don't need to have that in order to eat a well-rounded plant-based diet. A pressure cooker is awesome so that beans don't take 4 hours. You can get them done in 45 minutes, but you don't have to have a pressure cooker. But there's some of those types of things that if you do have them, they're going to make your life so much easier. And if you have those in lieu of, meaning getting rid of your panini maker maybe, and that might be a bad example, but your latest and greatest thing that you plug into the wall that makes you the one thing that you eat once a month, well, you got to clean out your kitchen and make space for the things that are really going to serve you in ways that are going to help you be successful. And so, like Stacy said, having the right gear, filling up your refrigerator and filling up your pantry in the proper way, so that all of your options that you choose from are awesome options. You're much more likely to stay with it than to kind of maybe go back and revert to the ways that you've done things before. Another part of it for us too, and 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 we're not all about the family, but we are all about our family because we love our boys and it's loads of fun. And our 10-year-old Nico, writes blessings, and he loves to write, and so we use his blessings at our dinner time. And our 6-year-old likes to light the candles, and we you have music and different types of international music that supplement, facilitate, and the dining process. We're blessed to have an orchard, so we eat outside as much as we possibly can, and we eat in the orchard or we eat on our back deck. And we're also super blessed to live on a beach, and so we eat on the beach as much as we can. And we're in a place where we can watch minks and harbor seals and occasionally killer whales while we're sitting on the beach and eating our meal. All those types of things we don't all live in these types of places, but even if you get outside on your deck, if you live in an urban setting where you get into your backyard, varying the places that you eat, varying the ways that you eat. It's kind of like if you treat yourself as a kid, we treat ourselves as kids just as we love to have the kids around because we try to keep them guessing. They don't know what they're going to eat. They don't know what's going to be in it. They don't know where they're going to eat, but they know it's going to be fun. And so, I think we can take some of those strategies no matter what we call our family. If it's just yourself, well, maybe you want to eat in the bathtub some night. Not that I don't, whatever. But if you have your friends over, if you have one kid, if you have two kids, if you're eating with your cat, your dog, or your goldfish, the way that you choose to eat then after you've kind of have the foundation, you have the appliances and the gear, you have the right things in your kitchen. We maybe teach you a little bit and all kinds of, there's wonderful cookbooks. And 27 years ago, I'd go to meetings with CEOs when I was a management consultant in the biotech industry, and I would hope that they had nuts that I could put on my salad, because I was pretty much guaranteed that I was having a salad with vinegar and oil on it, and that was it. And so, the options that you have in restaurants now, the options that you have in grocery stores and delis to eat, there's more opportunity to eat plant-based than there ever has been before. And so I think it's a really exciting time to talk about food on the planet. I think it's a really exciting time to talk about plant-based food. And I think it's a really critical time to get educated about taking your omnivorous diet, just substituting plant-based processed meat products into that diet is a suboptimal way of setting yourself up for long-term health to stay vegan. It's certainly nice that we have Beyond Burgers and some of these types of things that help people maybe remember where they used to eat or how they used to eat, and can fill in and can help more people be exposed to eating a plant-based diet. But eating across a broad range of fruits and vegetables with lots of pulses, legumes, nuts, fresh greens, growing as much of your food too as you can. We keep a little garden. We like to have a lot more, and we have an orchard, and we always have at least a couple types of sprouts going as well. And getting your kids involved in that type of process too, and food production is another way to really make it fun. Again, the foundation, getting the foundation right is going to set you up for long-term success.
I want to visit. That's number one. And then two, Kendra Williams said, how to locate the course on your page. This would be awesome for her. The basic that she'd been looking for their kitchen, pantry, and fridge. That's, everything you just spoke about, Kendra seems to need. So on your page, because I put the the link, the yourveganfamily.com, is where would Kendra go or anybody go?
Kendra, thanks for asking. And if you just opt in to the free grocery shopping list, you'll go next to the page that tells you about the course so you can get on the waiting list. So that's the best way to do it. And then you'll also our newsletter come out then. And so we'll be able to stay in touch. You're always welcome to fill out the contact us, and we'll answer questions you have and send you anything you need.
All right, very cool. That's pretty easy. And of course, Nija's here. So
we're also
sorry. I'll say Nija's here, and just so you know that she is the land of Kush in Baltimore. So she has a restaurant. So she has a lot of equipment, but she has a
Oh,
restaurant. So that's fair.
right.
I have all that equipment and I don't have a restaurant.
That
So
makes sense. Well, I will say that we also have all of that equipment, but our pressure cooker doubles as our air fryer. So we tried to do two in one. Um, and the main thing that we use, the main electronic device we use is our blender. We use that almost every day for something, salad dressing or a smoothie, or that's the main one that we use. But
yeah.
yeah, it's easy to acquire a lot of them. And then when you really want to get efficient and organized, to clear the decks of everything you don't need so that you can fill it up with what you really do need, um, can be a fun task to undertake.
Yeah, my air fryer
There are
actually
a
is
number.
a
Oh,
oh,
sorry.
sorry. My air fryer is actually a dehydrator and toaster and air fryer. So I was able to give away a dehydrator and the toaster oven
Wow.
for the one thing. And of course I have a Vitamix because it's used every single day. And the air fryer is used pretty often. And then the Instant
Yes.
Pot, like for beans and rice. I mean, and we bought a bread maker. So one of the things for 2020 was we started making our own bread, and I also make my own plant-based milks. That's what came out of 2020 is like, and these are things that I made a loaf of bread today. I made pizza dough 3 days ago, 2 days ago, and we're having pizza for dinner and homemade sauce. And there's nothing like it, and the food's organic because I'm making it, and there's no preservatives, there's no chemicals.
Right.
It's delicious, delicious.
I don't doubt it. That sounds wonderful.
We're coming over to eat.
I have enough. I have enough to
You
feed
know,
an army.
another part of your vegan family, another part of your vegan family that we're working on too, and there are a number of other lovely families that do a similar type of thing. There's a family in Dubai that we've appreciated connecting with as well. But our boys are gregarious, our 10-year-old in particular, and they really are passionate about how they eat and why they eat that way, and the foods that they eat too. And so in our your vegan family community, we're going to make not just us available, but our boys available as well. And so, if people are interested in gaining a 10-year-old perspective or a soon-to-be 7-year-old perspective, or kids are interested in talking to other kids as well about what their experiences are, our boys are really eager to be involved in that way as well.
Oh, that's awesome. Because kids like to talk with kids, and they kind of get it.
Right.
Exactly.
They get it better than the adults do, and the adults need to kind of rewire so that they
Yeah.
listen to the mouths of babes, because those mouths of babes actually get it better than the adults do, because we have so much that we think about and we need to do in life and bills and whatever. Like Josie, when she's on, her kids care about this planet and have an understanding of what's happening to it better than she ever had in her life. She's I mean, her kids are very similar in age to yours, actually. She should totally get together. She's here locally. But they just get it. And it keeps her going because they feel so strongly about what you're all doing. It's incredible.
I mean, it really is for sure. I still, as you said, we'd love to meet her and interact with her as well. And I still think about Greta Thunberg, and I, listen to her present, and I think about how old she is, and I, think about how thoughtful she was, and I think about, how much, how big her voice became because she cared and because she was passionate and because she's, really eager to try and do the right thing. And, we all come into the world naked and alone, in a truthful state. And along the way, a lot of filters and a lot of things get put over top of that bright light. And the more that we can keep kids shining, and keep them from, kind of their battery starting to run down and that light starting to get a little bit dull, and then it gets hard to see, and then you make some wrong choices and you make some wrong turns, and I think it's much easier sometimes, as you said, with the younger generation, and that's why I'm excited to see teenagers, and I'm excited to see, 20 somethings, and the age group of people that really are experimenting with diet, whatever that reason might be, but is kind of teenager to 35, and that's an age group that really does need to think about. We all need to think about what we're eating, but those are the people that are going to really drive where we're headed right now. I mean, I hope that we still can, in our mid 50s, and we'll keep going as long as we can go for sure. But they're coming right behind us, and they have very influential voice in all of it. And so I'm happy that I'm happy that they're involved in the conversation in ways, in a conversation that kids might have been excluded from 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago too. And I think that that's a really, important opportunity to try to implement widespread positive change.
I couldn't agree more. And thank you for all that you're doing to be those influences on them and to be a source of education that is science based, which is incredibly important. And I think that's why people would gravitate towards you, because it's one thing to, put an air fryer in your house and to get a Vitamix and put some nutritional yeast in your pantry. But what in the world do you do with those things? And how, like, and how is it nutritious to me? I mean, nutritional yeast on everything. Just put that out there. It works and it's healthy for you. But other things, cooking isn't, not everybody's raised to cook. Not everybody's, got the time. Some people have less time and they have to take that day on the weekend to prepare for the week. Sometimes you're hungry and you can make literally vegan mac and cheese healthily in 15 minutes. 15 minutes with veggies to the table. No joke, my recipe, simple. From cooking to
Yep,
starving to the table, eating, 15 minutes. Simple. And that's what you
absolutely.
learn. That's you can't.
Yep.
So it's going to
It's
take
important
forever.
to
No,
have those
it can
skills.
take forever. The pizza dough takes hours, and then days in the fridge, and then rising again. Yeah, fresh made bread took 3.5 hours today, but I was doing other stuff. I just had to put it in the bread maker, and now there's a loaf of bread downstairs. So you just, making the cashew milk or almond milk, whatever I'm making. Yeah, it takes like 5 minutes. It's faster than going to the store. And I have a whole
Yeah.
bunch of it. So,
Mhm.
and it's organic and has nothing in it. These are things that you can choose to do, or you can buy the container from the store, or you can buy the bread from the store. You can, whatever works for you, works. And just having that extra help, especially when you're new, people really need that. So thank you, thank you, thank you for doing that and showing that you can raise your kids vegan and plant based, and they're like really healthy and they're not falling apart. Their arms and legs are still attached. Really.
Right.
Well, I wish they were here. It takes a village, and
Yeah.
we're certainly happy to be in that village with you. And we appreciate your, many years mission that you've had as well to increase consciousness and to educate too. And it takes a collective energy in order to make a big difference. And we, have to find like-minded people that can support each other in trying to educate people about, some conscious choices that we can make. Like you say, you can make macaroni and cheese in 15 minutes. Well, I think a lot of people who haven't chosen to look at how they eat or haven't chosen to look at information maybe think, well, I'm just going to open up a pack of hot dogs and I can put that in the microwave and it's only going to take me 30 seconds. Those people probably don't know that the World Health Organization classified processed red meat in the same category as a type A carcinogen like cigarettes. So if you ask that person, would you give your son or daughter, or would you give somebody a cigarette? Which is essentially what you're doing when you give them highly processed red meat and a hot dog. I don't think many people know that. I think about when, that information came out from the World Health Organization, and it certainly wasn't, national headline news like, the most recent school shooting or, whatever else might recently have come up. Food doesn't tend to make headlines, but you're making choices that affect your life in very severe ways.
Exactly. And you're right. You feed your kid a bologna sandwich and you're feeding your kid cancer, which we inferred earlier. But seriously,
Headline
it's
news like, the most recent school.
you feed your kid a bologna sandwich and you're feeding your kid cancer, which we
Oh, this is so
inferred
strange.
earlier.
Like my
But
phone is.
doing some weird stuff. Sorry about that. There was some feedback. I just plugged my phone in and it got weird.
It's okay.
No worries.
So, well, again, thank you for coming on and being part of this and allowing me to get to know you better and everyone else to get to know you better because it's been a joy for me and I look forward to working with you somehow, some way, something because I'm here as a resource as to share what you're doing uh, forever.
Yay.
Thank you, Helene. It's been really such a gift to meet you today, and I know it's just the beginning. So thank you so much for having us here, and we'll look forward to more with you.
Awesome. Well, have a great rest of your day because go get the kids and make it a fun dinner, which I know you will.
For sure.
Okay. Bye, Marcus and Stacy.
Thanks so much, Helene.
Bye. Well, thank you once again for being a part of Virtual Vegfest Live. It's like, oh, I'm the opposite, pulling my hair. So, really appreciate your joining us. And like I said, we are back on Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which is 8 a.m. in Australia and Sydney, for our talk with the makers of the Kangaroo film, which is fantastic. And that's it for this week. So, remember to, even though the world has changed and COVID and viruses and stuff, what's really cool about a mask? It can help you not get those things, so including like stomach flus and colds, and if you have allergies, let's normalize this. Everyone spent so much money on custom masks over the last like year and a half. Don't throw them out, don't give them away, keep using them. It's not a bad idea. Please support your local restaurants and dine out, food trucks, whatever you can do within your means, and be kind to one another. We need more kindness because it's been rough and people are really mean, and we need to reverse that because it's not a healthy way of living in society. Let's get back to community. Let's get back to supporting and helping one another. Let's get back to understanding that not everybody is like you. And let's also get back to a world that's not individualistic. And we care about more than just the animals and more than just the planet, but we need to care about each other. Okay, I'm off my soapbox. I will see you on Sunday night and have a great rest of your week and enjoy our new logo because it's new and improved and we absolutely love it. And I even have a shirt on already. So have a great day. Thanks again for watching and subscribe to Virtual Veg Fest YouTube and enter a contest. Bye.